What's good, Fight Family? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be breaking down UFC 306, UFC Noche, taking place in the Sphere. You already know how I feel about this. It's Mexican Independence Day, you know, like a card that's supposed to be honoring Mexican Independence Day, right? And it's not in Mexico. The main event fighters aren't Mexican. Honestly, whatever. Like, I'm just excited that we have a pay-per-view coming up, so I'm not going to bitch about it. Let's just get straight into the card. Oh, wait. Before we do that, here are my stats right here. I'm going to put them up. I'm on a main event win streak now. We're back on a 2-win streak, so I'm hoping that I can build this up. I don't think I've gotten past a 3-win streak at all, or even gotten to one this year. It's been really unpredictable the whole way through. Let's start out with the early prelim fight, though. We got Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Arishi Lang. I feel like he was originally on the main card, so he got bumped all the way down. He's now the opener. They're trying to do like a UFC 300 type of thing where like the opener is a hype fight. I think Arishi Lang has the potential to put hands on Raul Rosas, but I feel like he's going to be able to eat it. I mean, look at his chin, bro. He's not taking no damage. On top of the fact he's Mexican, I don't think he's going to be able to get knocked out. And on the ground, there's levels to this. Raul Rosas Jr. might be young, but on the ground, and especially at bantamweight, dude's built pretty big. He has a big back. He has man strength. He's going to be able to take Arishi Lang down, probably force the submission, I would imagine. If not in a round, after a tough first round, he's going to find it in the second round. So I would side with Raul Rosas Jr. getting the finish in this one. I would bet on it. Then we move on up the card. Edgar Cairez taking on Joshua Van. Joshua Van's a plus 150, which I think is a little bit crazy. I think you have to have a certain style like Charles Johnson to take out Joshua Van. And look, I've predicted Joshua Van's career perfectly thus far. His first 3 fights, picked him for all of them. When he took on Charles Johnson, I took Charles Johnson at underdog money, and it ended up paying off. But Joshua Van was giving Charles Johnson work in that whole fight. His pressure was honestly insane. He was eating good shots. He actually started out strong in the first round, which is usually his problem. So he's showing me that he, even at this young age, like he's already making solid improvements fight by fight. Game Cairez is tough. He has really good jiu-jitsu. I feel like Joshua Van should probably try to stay out of his guard. Probably just try to stay out of the ground game, you know, in general. And I don't think Edgar Cairez has like the wrestling to take it there. I think Joshua Van would have to take him to the ground, mixing it up, and then he might get punished for it. If Joshua Van just keeps it on the feet, I could actually see this being the first underdog of the night hitting. It's hard for me to see Edgar Cairez knocking Van out. Even though Van just got knocked out not too long ago and he's already fighting again, it's flyweight. I feel like he's going to be okay. He's not like a massive flyweight. He's actually a pretty small guy. So I'm going to side with Joshua Van. I think he's going to get fans hyped again. He's going to get people right back on that hype train because Charles Johnson, in hindsight, for a lot of people that didn't think, you know, would be able to beat Joshua Van, he's really good and he keeps fights close with higher level competitors in that division. So it's not a bad loss to have. I'm going with Joshua Van by a decision. Then we move on up the card. Yasmin Uruguay taking on Ketlin Souza. Ketlin Souza has power, but I think Yasmin Uruguay has learned her lesson about fighting people with power, and she's going to play it safer every fight now. She's going to be just as technical as she's always been. I think she's just going to outstrike Ketlin Souza the whole time. I don't think she's going to be able to TKO her. I don't see either of these two submitting each other. Maybe Ketlin Souza could pull something off, but again, seems really unlikely, and it's probably why she's a plus 350 underdog. So if you want to take your chances, go with Ketlin Souza. I mean, they rob women left and right every card if the fights are close. So you could take the chance and might hit big. I'm going to side with Yasmin Uruguay, getting this dominantly done by a 3-round unanimous decision. And then we move on up the card. Manuel Torres taking on Ignacio Bahamondes. This fight's a pick'em. I think this fight's amazing. I don't actually remember what type of streak Bahamondes is on at the moment, so let me double check. He won his last. Okay, he's actually on a pretty good streak. His last loss was to McDessie, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. He lost to Ludwig Klein. Yeah, I remember that fight. Okay. And he's had some close fights with people that I feel like you probably can't make close fights with if you're going to be taking on somebody like Manuel Torres, who, in my opinion, is built pretty fucking big for that weight class. Yeah, and he's looking like a killer lately. He's taken on... Okay, no, he hasn't fought as much as I thought. He kind of only fights like once a year, actually. So that inactivity might do him dirty, but the way that he dismantled Chris Duncan actually impressed me. So I'm going to side with Manuel Torres. Again, it is a pick'em. Hedge your bets wisely, but Ignacio Bahamondes, he's young. I think he's going to have time to build up in the UFC. I think fights like this are going to make him better. I think he'll still make it close, but I think Manuel Torres can actually get the finish on this young prospect. So I'm going to be siding with Manuel Torres. He's also from Mexico, so he gets the map bonus. Then we move on, the prelim headliner, Irina Aldana taking on Norma Dumont. If you guys watch my full card predictions often, you know that Norma Dumont is somebody I rate highly. She actually goes for the finishes. She actually tries to win fights. It seems like she has some testosterone, which a lot of women don't. Irina Aldana is much better in the boxing department, and I will be nervous the whole time they're on the feet. I could see her squeaking out, like, you know, a unanimous decision based on damage or split. It's almost a pick'em. Norma Dumont is the slight underdog. I am going to be siding with Norma Dumont, even though she kind of scared me in her last fight. I think she's good enough to get this fight to the ground and keep it there for most of the fight. So I'm going to side with Norma Dumont, edging out what's called a split decision, just so I can be more precise. Then we move on into the main card. This is only a 10-fight card, man. One of the greatest spectacles we'll ever see in UFC history. Ronaldo Rodriguez taking on Ode Osbourne. And Ode Osbourne's on the fucking main card. Like, dude, oh my gosh. Look, I'm not one of those people that was bitching about UFC 300 not being hype enough and bitching about this card too much. I feel like I've bitched about the right things here. And yeah, just honestly, the name power on this card, I feel like Dana could have done a lot better. Dana, Hunter, the whole team. But Ronaldo Rodriguez, he is a solid prospect. Ode Osbourne has lost to fucking everybody, I feel like. Like, does he even have a win recently? Let me just double check that. Yeah, wow. Lost to Almabayev. Oh, yeah, he beat Jose. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. He finds ways to win against people I don't think he should win against and then loses against everybody else. Ronaldo Rodriguez is tough as hell. He brings it. He's going to be mixing up grappling with trying to knock out Ode Osbourne, and Ode is just too chinny. Ode can land like a sneaky flying knee or, you know, something crazy like that, but I don't think it's as likely as Ronaldo Rodriguez keeping the pace and finding a finish. So I think Ronaldo Rodriguez is going to break Ode Osbourne in like the second round and either get a submission or a TKO. He could do both. I would just bet on him getting a finish. We move on up the card. Daniel Zellhuber taking on Esteban Ribovic. Wow, Esteban Ribovic is at a plus 185? Didn't he just come off like a crazy win too? Yeah, he came off that Terrence McKinney knockout. And then he also beat Kirk right before. Kirk's not that good. Okay, well, man, that's huge underdog money. I rate Daniel Zellhuber. Who was it he lost to? I swear he's lost in the UFC. Yeah, he lost to Trey Ogden. That's got to be Trey Ogden's best win, taking out the undefeated Zellhuber. Like, Ogden he pulls out weird wins. Zellhuber made that fight with Christos Giagos pretty close. He beat the fucking brakes off of Prado, and I thought that was impressive. I was siding with him in that fight. I do think he's a little bit more crisp on the feet, and he has more range, more experience than Esteban Ribovic. I think this fight's going to be really close. It has the potential to be a banger. I'm going to side with Daniel Zellhuber, showing his toughness, getting hurt bad in the first round and coming back and, yeah, landing some type of crisp combination with the head kick at the end of it that rocks Esteban, leaves him on the ground, he TKOs him. That's what I'm going for. That's my official prediction. And then we move on up the card. Brian Ortega taking on Diego Lopez. We're finally getting this fight. Ortega's at plus 145 money now. I think he was a bit bigger of a dog the first time they scheduled this. So I think that shows that odds makers aren't as impressed with Lopez after his last fight. And to be honest with you, man, I'm not either. I was riding for Lopez. I was arguing with people in the comment section about how, you know, Diego honestly is a lot better than people are giving him credit for. Because some people were trying to say Ortega is just going to stop the hype again. And, you know, for the lead up to that card, I couldn't see it at all. But for the lead up to this one, I actually think I'm going to have to side with Brian Ortega getting this one done. Showing his toughness again. Probably surviving a really tough first round. But just outlasting Diego and showing that he has more heart, more dog in him. I feel like he can find a finish on Diego Lopez. Look, we don't know enough about this guy. And he's gotten quite favorable matchups in hindsight. Even with Dan Ige, bro, like he dropped the third round. You can't drop a third round to Dan Ige and then, you know, expect me to think you're going to outlast Brian Ortega. I don't really see it happening. In the jiu-jitsu world, I could even see Brian Ortega being more slick and better on the ground. They're both super aggressive and offensive on the ground. They both have beautiful defense. I think this fight could be the best fight of the night if it lives up to expectations, if they both fight good game plans and they both take it to each other. I'm going to side with Brian Ortega getting this one done by a decision, showing that he's still got it, showing that he still deserves a shot in the title picture, I guess. And if it doesn't happen, I mean, hey, Diego Lopez is going to show that he's a killer and that he definitely belongs to be here. You know, it's hard to pick against Diego, but I think I am going to have to do it again. I've made that mistake before. I hope it's not a mistake this time. I want TCD to stay in the mix too. Then we move on up the card, co-main event. Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko 3. So Alexa Grasso winning the first fight will probably go down as the best pick I've ever had on this channel. I called a 4th round submission to a T, so I don't think I can ever do something that perfect again. And because of that, I feel like I have to rock with Grasso every time. I already was a huge fan of her while she was climbing up the rankings. You know, that's why I gave her the respect. I had a feeling she could take on somebody like Valentina. I just felt like she had that dog in her, and she was going to be hungrier than Valentina that night. Valentina showed in the rematch that when she really puts her mind to it, you know, she's a fucking tough woman to beat, tough woman to break. She arguably won that second fight. Now, I picked Grasso in the second one as well. I said it would go to a split decision, but it ended up going to a split draw. So I was close, but didn't get it exactly. Alexa still retained her belt, so it's still kind of a dub. But I think Alexa Grasso is going to definitively win this time. I mean, Valentina is just aging out. I don't think her heart's as in mixed martial arts as it once was. I mean, how could it be? You were dominant for so long. I could be proven wrong. It's a pick'em right now, and Valentina is only the slight underdog at like -108. Alexa Grasso sitting at -112. It's probably something different on your odds books, but I'm going to be siding with Alexa Grasso getting this one done. I could see her getting a finish, but I think it's going to be another one of those classic 5-round wars. I just think Alexa Grasso is going to make it more clear that she's the better fighter, and I think she's going to outland Valentina on the feet. She's not going to get caught by those, you know, side kicks, and just, you know, fight a good game plan, mix in the grappling. But again, it's hard. I wouldn't bet on this fight. Then we move on to the main event of the night, Sean O'Malley taking on Merab Dvalishvili. This is a great fight. I've been pretty set on Sean winning this, especially after watching Merab get rocked the way he did by the same hook that Marlon Moraes hit him with by Henry Cejudo, of all people. An aging, chubby, not in the game as much Henry Cejudo fucking slipped and ripped and could have put Merab out if he had some more power. Sean O'Malley is probably going to find the shot. I mean, unless Merab just has perfect head movement, perfect takedown timing, perfect level changing, perfect explosion, everything. He has to have everything perfect, because Sean O'Malley, in a lot of ways, is the nightmare matchup to Merab. Now, this could be a Bilal Muhammad, you know, redo, I guess, redux. He could just be in his face the whole time with the jab, pressure into the cage, take him down, wear on him. Sean has enough to get back up and survive, but not enough to, like, get in his realm. It could be like that. And that, if it is going to be like that, I think we're going to figure that out really quickly. But ultimately, I think Sean O'Malley is going to be able to find his range quickly. I think he's going to get his respect really quick from Merab with those knees up the middle, uppercuts, a lot of his fakes. I think the moment might be big for Merab, but honestly, I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem, despite the fact that I think this is like his only main event, and this is probably his only time in the spotlight. The dude is crazy as fuck. He always has been. He's honestly a gem. Like, I'm such a fan of Merab. I always knew he was going to make it up to the title picture. It's a shame that he's got to be taking on Sean O'Malley, who's just better for the sport, and I like a little bit more, because I really do rock with Merab. But I think this is going to be his one and only title shot. I think he's going to get smoked. Yeah, I think Sean O'Malley's going to knock him out. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'm not going to take too much more of your time. I'll catch y'all.